From a bedroom in Johannesburg, South Africa, you are listening to What the Relationship with your co-host Candice and
Lungi!
and our extra special guest
Lindo!
Woo!
Lindo, our number one WTR.
I know that's right.
fan.
I know that's right.
He listens
I
to our
love it.
episodes
I appreciate it.
every week. So we decided let's
single
just
one.
bring in our super fan and let's just talk. We're gonna talk about it today, okay? But either way, if you're looking for a podcast that talks about Njolo, talks about everything nice, everything spice, everything Forex, Bitcoin, men,
No,
daughter,
please don't.
No
sex,
NFTs though. No NFTs though. None of
not
that.
NFTs. We hope we'll make a great pair. Today, we're talking about sex, baby. We're talking
Let's
about
talk
you
about you
and
and me.
We're talking about all the good things.
that
all
turn
the
And the
bad
platinums that may be. Let's talk about sex again.
Again, for like the third time in the space of 2 months. I think people
Yeah.
are actually
I hope
thinking
people
that
don't
we
think we're a
are
sex
sex
podcast.
deprived.
Yeah.
At this point,
I hope
you
they
might
don't
as well.
think that.
You might as well be.
No. You know, when I think about it, like sex is really something that's very defining in our relationships, right? It's like I am the believer of sex will make or break a relationship. Personally,
Mhm.
if you're
No,
not
definitely.
giving good sex,
Same.
it's game over.
Same.
Game over.
If I'm not sexually attracted to you, it's not even gonna begin. So-
Nothing can happen from the beginning. So, like, there's no point of departure.
What?
What are you even
What are we
doing?
doing? What are we doing?
Literally.
What are we doing?
There's no spark, so we're not trying to do Duracell battery things here.
No,
I'm not
no.
trying to be like
I can't
ESCOM
look at you.
and turn
I
on the
can't look at you like
power.
a friend. It can't look like I can't.
Yeah, because then you literally then just friends. I mean, you should be friends. You should be friends.
should be,
But there should be that
but
other level.
there should be that thing.
Exactly.
Would you have sex with your friends?
No.
No, guys, please don't do that.
Just
Guys,
to like try it out, just to be like,
guys, please
You
don't
know?
have sex with your friends. Like, you know, there's a list of ways to end a friendship, and having sex with your
And-
friends definitely sits at the top of the
that's
list.
one of them.
But
let's
not know
say-
a single friendship that has survived that.
But
I
friend,
I had a friend with benefits, but we ended up dating like years later though. So don't have sex with your
But
friends.
let's say
Also-
there was a
also-
challenge. Yeah.
Also,
Let's say
he
there was-
he
there was
doesn't
a- there
count
was a
as
challenge.
that friend. He doesn't count as a
Wow,
friend.
wow.
No, he doesn't
Oh,
count.
Let's say there was
At
a
this
challenge.
point, come on.
Let's
Yes, what's the challenge?
let's say there was a challenge, right? So let's say they were saying we're going to give you I blew it money without doing I blew it circumstances,
Whoa.
but you just have to sleep with your friend. Would you do it?
Which one?
Lungi.
Which one?
Lungi's like,
It
Lungi's trying to pull up lists.
It
Lungi's pulling
depends.
up is like, that friend,
Which-
yeah,
which
that friend,
one?
no.
Which one? Which one?
Like your really good friend. Like your really, really good friend.
I feel like Lungi wants to say no. Lungi is
No.
fighting for her life. She wants to say yes.
I'm getting.
She
I'm
wants to
getting
say
a.
yes.
I'm no.
But-
I'm getting a. Like no.
The cackling.
No,
You're
no,
telling me.
he has to. He has to be
Lungi.
far. He has to be very far in my relationship
In-
with him.
in your
our
friendship.
friendship.
Lungi.
We have to be very far. We can't be close. There's no way.
Lungi, you're telling me that someone says, I'm going to give you I blew it money, which minimum always starts with like
It's a
3,
million.
4, 5 million. Okay? To sleep with any of your male friends. Any.
Ah,
And you're
any.
saying,
Definitely. If it's any, definitely. It can't be the close one, obviously, because no. But any.
Because like,
It's like
my
a
thing
big-
is, my thing is that's a friendship that you have to be ready to lose, right? Because you know, like once
For
you
3
cross
million.
that stage, things go downhill. So you must the decision making in my mind at least is that okay, I can survive without this friendship. I don't need this person as a friend because obviously
Exactly.
I'm-
You see,
And like for me, in my list, there's no one, unfortunately. Like I like all my homies, still want them around. And so no, I can't do it. Sorry.
What about you, Candace?
No. There are a couple of friends I would definitely sleep with. Definitely. Definitely. I'll even go on record. Like I've told this person, even on his podcast, to say, I would be curious to know if I had to have your child, would your child look like you? Because your genes are so strong.
I feel like I know who this friend is. I feel like I know
you
who
obviously
this friend
know.
is. And maybe I produce his podcast.
Like I'm just so curious to know, in that family in particular, all of the kids look exactly like the dad.
It's scary. It's scary. Like there is no way that you could be confused about whether they're siblings or not.
Do you know what I'm saying?
They literally like.
Do you know what I'm saying? And there's no way he can deny that he's the dad, because he is. Hello, there we go. Like it's like this is my child. You know,
exactly.
you can't bring him on Maori and be like, yeah, we're going to see if you're no. Have you seen what the ears? So as a social experiment, if I was paid to sleep with my male friends, I would.
You said
I
plural.
would, but
you said plural.
Yes, friends.
Me, I said one.
Friends. Yes. I am that friend.
I said what I said.
I say what I said. I'm that friend that will tell my male friends, your friend, hi, Upi. Hi, Upi. Where are you?
Yes, no, definitely.
Come through.
Definitely, they're good-looking men. There's no denying that. Obviously, they're good-looking. But to sleep with, oh my God.
Yeah, it's another thing, Lungi. I'm not gonna lie. It's another thing.
Beautiful.
No,
very beautiful. But
I'm joking, guys.
Obviously, she's joking, guys.
I'm totally joking. But I'm just saying. No, we're speaking hypothetically. But I'm just saying.
Okay. Hypothetically speaking.
If I blew it, money could locate me. If it could just locate me. Definitely.
Yeah, I'll do it for the money.
But I think there's a set of questions. If I had to be in that situation where I had to sleep with my friends, there are definitely a set of questions I'd have to ask them, because often when we think about sex, we just think about the action of it and not necessarily like the process of determining what, like, is this person a safe
what is it going to look like? Yes.
What do you mean?
What is the sex? Yeah. What is the sex going to look like? Is it going to be safe? Is it? Have you tested? Do you have any? This reminds me.
Okay. Like there's a story.
This reminds me of a date I went to. I think I've told the story before, but this particular part of the story, no, I don't think I have. But this particular date I went to, the man asked me if I'd be open to a sexual relationship, and I said yes. But obviously, we're gonna have to like test and whatnot, make sure like everything is cool, sharp. And he was like, yeah, cool, sure. I'm already HIV positive anyway. That's what he said. So I was like, wow, this is interesting.
That's interesting.
And it was so interesting to hear it just so nonchalantly, just like that. Like, because in South Africa, we have had our very big problems with HIV and AIDS. It was a big epidemic, right? Epidemic.
Yeah.
Very big epidemic in the early 2000s. Still very stigmatized in social settings, just in public, just, around people. So it was very interesting to hear him just like say it right out, freely, nonchalantly. I was like, this is interesting. So I went more into like how that happened and whatnot, but that's not important. But yeah. So wow.
No, that's actually really interesting. Also because there's that like very big conversation about whether or not people who are HIV positive should have to disclose that on the first date. And I remember because I even I'm gonna do another shameless plug. I have a small little
you
podcast
plug yourself, sir. Do it. Plug us via your walls. Do it.
I have a small little podcast on the internet, and one of the episodes that I did sort of a while ago was like actually thinking through that, right? That
Mm.
what are people required to disclose on first dates, and also, but specifically looking at the
Mm,
question of someone's HIV status,
Mm, mm,
where sort of in the stage of talking stage, going on dates, or getting
yeah.
into an actual relationship, do you then disclose to someone that you are HIV positive? Because I think one of the major things for me is that, first of all, that's someone's very private medical information, and
Yes.
also you don't necessarily, also because of the stigma again that surrounds being HIV positive, that that means you were sleeping around, that means you lose, that means you don't
Yes.
care
Yes.
about your sexual health, that you also
True.
don't want to go around telling everyone and like random strangers that, oh yeah, hey, I've got this thing. And
Yeah.
so, but then also because when you are sort of like dating someone, you are engaging with the person on a romantic level. And I think outside of people who are asexual, there is like an inherent thing that somewhere down the line, this is going to lead into
It's
a
gonna
sexual
come up.
relationship.
It's
Exactly,
gonna
it's going
come
to lead
up.
into a sexual relationship on top of us being romantically involved
Mm, mm,
or being
mm.
attracted to each other. So it's also like, even from the perspective of the person that you are dating, when do they deserve the right to know, so that they also able to make an informed decision about whether or not they want to continue with the relationship or not. So it's always like
mm,
a very like interesting topic to think about, because some people would go on date number 4, 5, 6, and then the person reveals that they're HIV positive, and then the other person says, oh
Yes.
no, but you should have told me from the first date so that I could book out, because I actually don't want to do this.
yeah.
But it's also
Yeah.
like, you can't also force someone
To share.
reveal that kind of information on the first date as well.
Which is what
Mm,
actually, this
mm.
is what I appreciate about this man that I went on the date with, because
You
we
appreciated
were
a
talking.
man?
Hey, it
Five
happens.
stars, 5 stars, Ricky.
Listen, once in a purple moon, once in a purple moon, once in a
Mm-hmm.
purple moon.
Mm,
I appreciate his honesty, and because we were talking about a sexual relationship, he brought it up. I think perhaps maybe he might not have had the conversation not led that way, but that's neither here nor there.
mm,
But the fact that he was upfront, he was like, "Hey, yeah, cool, cool, cool. We gonna test, but I got this thing, so know that right off the bat."
mm,
And then after that whole chat, after like we went through the whole, oh, how did this happen, blah blah blah. He was like,
mm,
so after hearing all this, are you still willing? Do you still want to? Blah blah.
Yeah.
Like he was very like cool about it, very nonchalant, very easy. Like he understood. I think he also understands what you said earlier about the stigma and whatever. So he tries to like play it cool, make it easy so that like the people can respond accordingly.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Because I mean, like,
Yeah.
I really think it must be such a difficult, like, navigating dating as someone who is HIV positive must be extremely difficult, because
Mm,
first of all, I
Mm,
would guess that you're already going into a situation thinking, oh, this person has preconceived ideas of what a person who's HIV positive looks like,
mm, mm,
acts
mm,
like, or
mm.
what they've done in order to get that thing, right? And then so now having to like
mm,
open yourself up to also like multiple people, because you're not gonna end up with the first person you date, right? You you might have
mm.
to kiss a couple of frogs
Oh,
to get the
I'm
right one.
definitely a
So now
princess,
having to,
sir.
because I mean,
Excuse me.
I feel like there are already so many anxieties that go
Yes.
behind
mm,
dating and go behind opening yourself up sexually to people, that then having to add an
mm.
additional layer of this thing, that just, yeah, that I could imagine that's incredibly difficult.
But interestingly enough, like we live in a society, like in South Africa, we're very conservative when it comes to dating. You date someone on the third date, you're already dating, like you're already like this is my boo thing.
Let's go, boy.
We also at the same time we have a very
We're not
interesting hookup
conservative about
culture
sex.
where people will just hook up with anyone they want to hook up with, but then we're not
Yeah.
having honest conversations about sex. Like people don't honestly say, you know what, okay, I'm about to hook up with you, but like, do you have any STDs? Like, have you engaged in any risky sex? Like, these conversations about establishing boundaries, especially if you're just hooking up with someone, is a real thing. I don't know how many times on that Orange Fire app where Simon Levive used to be on. People that I used to like, people I used to swipe right on, they'd always be like DTF. And then I'd be like, okay,
How about
yeah,
you?
you look
Just like
cute,
that.
but
We
like
just met. We just met.
what like STD check? What about like how many people have
Perhaps
you like? You know, like this isn't the whole intersections thing. Like I remember watching that when I was
Literally.
like in primary school.
right.
I
That
love
show
the
was
intersections one.
that
The
show
guys are you
and
not
Soul
scared?
City, Intersection, Soul City, all SABC.
Yeah.
SABC has done well in terms
No.
of teaching our generation about sexual health and
Uh,
safety, but more so about being scared of sex. That's what
oh
they've
yeah.
taught us.
Oh yeah.
However, this is what I don't appreciate about them. Nah. I don't appreciate the fact that I know how to put on a condom, but a man doesn't know how to put on a tampon. It's weird. I don't know why. I don't know why they didn't do that. Where there's a very big gap there. There's a
That
very
wasn't the
But I
link
mean,
I was
I
gonna
feel like
make. The link I was gonna make was like there's a lot of emphasis on how we should put the condom, like put it on the banana, right? And then whilst you're doing it, give some pleasure. But then where's the emphasis on men giving us pleasure? Do you know what I'm saying? Like the
Also
onus is
that
always male centric. Like it's always like, or as us academics like to term it, we live in a phallocentric world. Like it's just focused on
phallic.
the penis,
Penis
the
is
penis,
everywhere.
the penis, the penis,
Yeah.
the penis. But what about us and our pleasure? And I think that's the emphasis. Like that's the onus side. Like the thing I got from Soul City and Intersections is that yes, when you have sex with someone, you need to realize that they've had sex with multiple people, and you don't know like who you're getting into bed with. And obviously, there's that whole conversation about soul ties and who you mix your soul with, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's always that emphasis about the first notion or first preference is the man. And it's like, but guys,
Yeah.
do you understand like the vagina has more than 500 nerve endings and you don't
Not
even know
honey.
like where to find
That's
the clitoris?
The one thing. But I think fundamentally, because like we know sex is power, right? And so, when you live in a society that where the fundamental idea is that power has to be concentrated within the patriarch or within the sort of masculine or the most masculine in that community, then it makes sense that you also frame or you construct sex and pleasure as something that purely belongs to the man, and that he is the one who dishes it out or also who withholds it at will, right?
he's the
So
key.
and
to the
like
many loves.
that's all, because we can have like all of these like colorful conversations about but nerve endings and like all of that, which also like are valid, right? It's valid and it's
Yes,
true,
yes.
but it's like fundamentally this thing has to do with power, because
Yes.
and the people who sort of are able to control sex, were able to control access to sex, were able to control when it happens, when it doesn't happen, those people will hold the power. Because also, like, if you think about it, especially if you think about it within sort of like heterosexual dynamic, when consent is there, right?
Yes.
When consent is there
This
between
is
two
all
people,
consensual sex, by the
yes,
way, guys.
yes,
We're talking about consensual
sensual
sex.
sex, yeah.
Safe sex begins with
If there's
consent.
no consent, if there's no consent or consent is not ongoing, it's not sex.
Yes.
So in other words, yeah. But then when you think about sort of sex, it makes sense that and also because of the way that we've socialized men to be the people who are supposed to go out and look for it, and women people who are supposed to sort of like give it
Give
up.
it.
You would
Your
think then
virginity gets
logically.
taken away.
Exactly.
Like, you
You would
took my
think then
virginity.
logically that women would control it, right? Because if you're thinking about that sort of like hunter dynamic, which is also, that's very weird, but that's the language in the streets, so let's go with
Yes.
that. If you think about sort of like the hunter dynamic, it only makes sense then that the women would be sort of the people who are in control of who gets pleasure, who doesn't, who gets access to sex, who doesn't get access to sex. But then the fact that we've also then spun it around and said, nope, actually, the men are in charge of dispensing pleasure, is another like weird dynamic all on its own. I think it just shows that all of these things are like weird constructs all in our head, and it actually
Yeah.
really has no logical underpinnings.
And it's something that I've seen in high school where like that whole the language of like, I smashed her, or what is her body count, or I tapped, like
Yes.
it's a very
I
violent
tapped that.
notion. It's very violent. Like how I conceived
Yammed.
of sex before I had sex was that it was very violent just because of the language that
Yeah.
young people were using, you know? And I don't know, like again, most
It
of the
just
people that were
sounded
talking about
painful.
sex were just boys. And so
Mm.
it just to me it didn't appeal to me because there wasn't an emphasis on like, okay, is there equal pleasure in this? What is her experience of it other than you just
Mm.
tapping her and it added to your Guinness World Record? I don't know. Like it's a very interesting notion. And there's so many dynamics of sex, that I
That's
just
sex.
look, I think interesting enough, I've been seeing a lot of people on Twitter talking. It's always Twitter, but like this one lady
Always.
tweeted the other day to say her boyfriend gave her herpes and she was pregnant, and then somehow the herpes was transmitted to her baby, and then her baby died.
No!
No,
Dude.
no, guys, no.
And it's like, what would you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, there are things like that where we're not having conversations, and the implications of not establishing sexual boundaries and honestly having open conversations that instill sexual maturity and intimacy
Yeah.
can be very damaging and impactful, you know?
But you know, Candace, like the tweet that you sent me, where someone said that if you are having sex with a condom, then you shouldn't be having sex with that person, right? If you think about it, like
Come on,
with
guys.
that woman, you have a woman who's having sex with her husband. Structurally speaking, societally speaking, that's the person she should be having sex with, right? The
Yes.
fact that he's
Yes,
being
yes.
dishonest, the fact that he is not being, the fact that he's not engaging honestly with her, it's outside of her control. So societally, she's doing everything that she's supposed to be doing. She's having sex with a man, and it's one man, and it's a man that she's married to. She's pregnant by him, for crying out loud. So it's like you can do within like sort of with like under patriarchy, women can do everything by the book but still get screwed over, because at the end of the day, if this nigga go do whatever
Dishonesty
he
is
wants,
dishonesty.
he's go do whatever he wants, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, even when you think about because Lunki had mentioned the HIV and AIDS epidemic in the 90s and the early 2000s, a large majority of the women, especially women in townships and rural areas, who did contract HIV and AIDS, were given to it by their husbands or like stable partners.
Right.
So those women were doing everything
Yeah.
right. They had a husband because society tells you you're supposed to have one. They had
Yeah.
one husband because society tells you you're supposed to have one. And they were also only having sex with that one man without using protection, because it's him, it's
Yeah.
only him. And then you still contract HIV and AIDS within that dynamic. So you see,
Because
like,
he's going to have sex with everybody else.
exactly. So like I can't, who said the quote escapes me now, but like under patriarchy, no one is safe. No one is safe because
Yeah.
you can do everything by the book and still get screwed over
And
at the end.
still get screwed over. This is
That is true. That is so true. I'm gonna read a story that I came across.
Let's get into
I'm
it.
And the
so ready for it.
title, it is story time, kids. Get your popcorn.
Story
get your tea.
time!
Let me get my water bottle
let's-
ready.
Let's.
This is the
spill
first
tea,
time I'm hearing
okay?
this, so
Oh gosh. Okay. So the title starts off with, "My boyfriend gave me an STD from his wife."
immediately no.
Ha.
Immediately no.
Everyone is wrong.
No.
Immediately no.
In acrimony, everyone is wrong.
Immediately no. First of all, sis, first of
Everyone is wrong.
Sissy,
Everyone is
Sissy,
wrong.
what are you doing with this man? First of all, what are you doing with
He
this
has a
man?
wife. He has a wife.
What are you doing with this man?
Listen.
Secondly,
Listen.
from his wife, meaning the wife is also
Doing some fuck shit.
Please, I wanna hear. I'm so ready. Okay.
So it's obviously very long. I'm going to skip like the extra stuff, but let's
Yeah,
get to the
yeah.
crux of it. So I've been in a relationship with a married man for some time now, 1 years, one plus year, they say. His wife knows about our relationship and is okay with it. I won't get into the nitty gritty details to protect my identity and his, but in essence,
Mm-hmm.
his marriage is more of a partnership as he's explained to me. It's been difficult for me to grasp throughout the entire time we've been together because I consider monogamy to be my norm. With this arrangement, there have been a lot of implicit things that I've wondered, but I've always been afraid to confront, mainly the topic of sex. He and I are long distance. I always sort of guessed he'd likely have sex with her too. Obviously, I should have known that. A few
Baby.
days ago, he calls me and he tells me that he has an STD and that I need to get tested. I had just gotten tested recently as a routine checkup, so there's no way that it's from my end. Besides, the only person I'd been with for the whole time we'd been together was him. I also know
In
for a
that
fact
whole
that he's
year,
been loyal. Mhm.
Now
I
it's
also know for a
I
fact
really
no.
I also know for a fact that he's been loyal to me, aside from the obvious. He literally has no time to even fathom entertaining another. At this point, I at this
I'm so
point,
sorry.
I confront
Lungi is done. Lungi is done.
This is just too ridiculous. I can't.
yo,
There's
yo,
too
at
many
this point,
mathematical equations I'm mathing. Yeah, but
the
go
the
on.
dots the
yeah,
dots are not joining, eh?
yeah.
The dots are not joining at all.
Whew. At this point, I confront him and ask him for the nitty gritty details. He tells me he's had sex with her twice in the 3 weeks I've been away after being home for a month. So, since this condition is a sexually transmitted disease and the only other partner he has is his wife, the obvious answer is that it came from her.
How
As a
is it
knee jerk
obvious?
reaction,
That's my thing as
Because
well.
that
Because
nigga could be lying.
niggas lie. Nigga, one thing about a nigga, one thing about a man, one thing about a man is gonna lie.
Niggas ain't shit. Come up to your crib, all up in your fridge. Can't pay rent. Look at what you did. Listen to
So
your
your
friends
friends,
when
when
they
they
say
say
niggas ain't
niggas ain't
shit.
shit.
ah, wow. Okay,
Please
so
carry on.
as a knee jerk
Wow.
reaction, I broke up with him. Aside from the complications of our situation,
Good,
his and my
good.
relationship has been loving, supportive, and happy. Between me and him, we have little to no issue. We're very much in love and happy when we're together. And despite my obvious insecurities of him possibly lying, his actions and devotion to me has proved that his love is true. So now I don't know exactly what to do. I know that it's an implicit that he had sex with his wife, but it was never something that was really on the forefront of my mind, but now it is. Also, the fact that she's likely passed on an STD to me through him is repulsive to me. I know the obvious is to leave all this mess and drama behind, but at the end of the day, I still care deeply about this man and I love him.
So
What a walking contradiction.
the first thing that to me is ringing bells, that I think the
Ding
married
ding.
couple might be open, or they might be polyamorous. Because
Yes,
if the
yes.
Or they're
wife if the
just
wife
cheating on each
knows
other.
about valid if the wife knows about the girlie who wrote the post, and it's likely that she's
Mm,
also sleeping with someone, then they might have like an
mm.
agreement. They might be either in an open relationship, or they might be polyamorous, which, because,
Or
yeah.
what I'm hearing, sorry to interrupt you.
No,
I
no, no.
hear this a lot in South Africa though, that men will like sleep with whoever, they'll have girlfriends outside their marriage, and the wives will know about it, but it's not like polyamorous or whatever. And then
There's
the
no
wife will
agreement. Yeah.
also have whatever she's going
Also
on,
do her
but
own
like
thing.
it's like an unsaid
Mm.
thing. They're not open, they're not polyamorous, they're married and they're just cheating on each other.
On each other,
Mm.
which is very
Mm.
possible and very likely as well.
Mm. So what would you then say in her situation? Like, do you think she should approach the wife? Do you think she should tell the wife reaching out to her and asking her to
Approach the
get
wife.
tested.
No, why are you going to the wife?
Well,
Why is the wife in it?
no,
Wait, hold
Why
on,
is the
hold
wife
on,
no,
in
but
hold
it?
on.
like,
What?
no, to
First of
determine if
all,
she's clean, to determine if she's clean, to
No,
then know whether the husband
nah.
is lying.
The
no.
thing
Don't go to the
is,
wife.
the thing
Don't go
is,
to, because
this
now
whole
you have to
thing
go
is
as a
already
woman.
messy.
Now you have to go woman to woman. Ain't no way, boy.
Don't come to her as a woman. First of all, this lady, the one who wrote the post, she's a walking contradiction because she said in one of the sentences you were speaking there, you were talking about how she said, besides, despite everything, the love has been true, but so he's been loyal to me. Besides the marriage, it's like she's a walking contradiction, and none of it is making sense. So also
I don't think that is a
a married
contradiction.
man a married man, I mean, it makes sense if
And
he's
can I?
polyamorous like Musam Sele, cool, sharp, but
I
man,
I have questions. I actually wrote
right,
questions, okay, on my
Okay,
yeah,
whole notepad. Okay. I've got
I'm
my notepad
ready.
open.
beautiful.
Okay.
We love a
So
prepared host.
question number one. If he's married, right, and so presumably been having sex with his wife for some time, how come she suddenly has an STD to give him? Question number two. How do you know his wife is happy with the situation? His word alone or direct contact from her? Question number three. How do you know he's only sleeping with you and his wife? If he's willing
That should have
to
been
omit to
question number
tell you that he's
one.
sleeping
Exactly,
with her,
exactly,
how could he
That's
easily be
question
exactly.
sleeping
number
with
one.
someone else?
Question number
Hey?
one. That's
That is
top
my
question
question.
there.
Mm.
That should have been your only question because I what in
No,
the
Because also
Asimov
like
fuckery?
we've heard so many stories of women who do enter into relationships with married men, and they say, oh no, he said he's not happy with his wife, or they sleep in separate bedrooms, or he's
They're
gonna
still
leave
having
her
sex, guys.
soon. They just
They're
together for
still
the
having sex.
kids. Or
They're
he'll say,
still
no, my
having
wife
sex.
knows and she's okay with it. So like
And they're
there's like
still
a
having
whole host of
sex.
stories that men come up with when they're trying to get like these women to get with them. So like and also this nigga has no incentive to be honest in this situation as well, because he
Doesn't
knows what he
look like
wants
it.
from the girl who wrote the post. So he's not gonna, like, I don't think he's engaging. Like, there's no reason for us to believe he's engaging in the situation in good faith to say that no, when he says the wife knows about it, we can take his word for it, because he can literally just lie. Like
Literally.
literally, he can just lie,
Straight
and
up
that's it.
lie.
Yeah.
A straight up lie. That's it. Not that like I'm blaming her or putting the blame on
Yeah.
her or the onus on her and everything on or anything, but yes, a relationship is two people, but there are three people involved here, so
Yeah.
everybody is responsible for the situation.
Mm.
Everybody is responsible for this STD because all three of them are having sex with each other.
Yeah.
That's
So
true.
Basically, that's true.
Someone
Because like I think,
someone actually even said, I can't remember what someone said. Someone said here, I'm reading the comments, and someone said, well, since you all have it, you could all have sex with each other. Win-win. An orgy that ends with a trip to the clinic. Reddit.
dun, dun, dun,
you might as well all
dun.
go. You might as well all go.
Nah. Uncalled for. Uncalled for. Lindo, you're about to say, you said something.
Oh no! So
What are you gonna say?
what was I gonna say? Damn. No,
It happens.
what I was gonna say is that I agree with Nuki saying that everyone is implicated. It's everyone's fault, right?
It's everyone's
Because
fault.
the moment the girlie who wrote the post enters into a relationship with a married man, you are
You
taking
must
on
know.
a certain risk, because this is not, because it would have been one thing if he said he was single and he was lying about being single when he was actually married, because then she's being deceived, right? She's
Yeah.
being manipulated.
Yeah.
But if someone is open about being married, they might be lying about the fact that the wife knows about this other relationship.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
someone is open about being married, as she said as well, that she knows that he's having sex with his wife. So whatever sort of diseases then come up in the mix, when you entered into the relationship with this person, you knew exactly that the fact that
What
they
you're getting
are most
yourself
likely
into.
engaging sexually with someone else, which is like a huge thing. And obviously we don't know whether the married couple are polyamorous or not. But when you do think about open relationships or polyamorous relationships, the big thing within those relationships is communication and honesty. That we have to talk about like very clear rules and guidelines, very clear memorandum of understanding, very clear modus operandi that this is how this thing operates. Because because of the exact fact that you have to keep yourself safe, right? So you are entering into a partnership with someone with an understanding that we are going to have sex with other people, but because you understand the importance and the centrality of your safety, you have all of these like rules and guidelines and all of these things in place to make sure that the both of you are safe. But when you're not entering into a thing where this other person might know, might not know, I don't know if he's cheating, maybe he's not cheating, all of those things, then there isn't sort of that clear line of communication to say, what's your partner doing on their side to make sure that they're safe?
Yes.
What are we doing to make sure that we're safe? What are we doing to make sure that everyone in this thing is safe? There aren't any of those controls. So obviously something like this is going to come up.
Yes. And actually, I want to add on to that. I can't believe I'm about to appreciate men 2 times in one episode. It's so crazy.
This episode is goated.
can't believe
This
it.
episode is goated.
What is going on? Hold on.
I don't know this man, though.
What's going on?
I've never met this man, but a friend of mine had relations with this man, but his MO was so he just has rapid HIV tests in his home so that we make sure, hey, we both good, we good, all right, let's rock, which is like amazing. I love that because it's like, okay, we trying to do this thing, but let's make sure we're safe. And then he has like what are the morning after tests called? Not the morning after pill, but the rapid tests.
No idea.
There's a morning after test, like to test what?
Like sex. I think it was either I might be to test sex. I might be mistaken, but it was either
Are you talking
the morning
the tablets or the prep? No,
not prep. No,
not prep.
It was definitely a test. It was either the morning after or the night before they had relations.
Okay.
Tests were made. Tests were done.
At the end of the day,
understand what you test.
There's a test.
What are you trying to test after sex? Are you trying to test that? Yeah, it was a 10 out of 10. I'm just trying to understand.
But nonetheless, it's that's the first scenario. Second scenario was of a married couple I heard about. After every festive season, they test. Both of them, they test. If they don't test after every festive season, they will use protection with each other. Because the first time I heard it, I was like, "That's wild, wow!" But now, after this Reddit story you just read, I was like, "Oh, now it's understandable to be like, oh, okay. After every festive season, maybe you get drunk and then you do something stupid in nani. Then you have to test. Before you test, you must."
I have a small question. So when people who are in a long-term committed relationship, and there's one person who insists in that relationship let me actually personalize it for you guys. You're 3 years deep. Candice would know. Candice, I don't know about you, Logi, but Candice would know.
Azan.
I also wouldn't know. So. But like you're 3 years deep, right? 3 years deep, committed, monogamous, all that jive. And your partner insists on using a condom specifically, not just any contraceptive, but they specifically insist on using a condom. Is that a red flag that they might be doing some nasty on the side? Or is someone just... Because also I feel like there's 2 ways which could go. It could either be that you might think that your partner suspects you're doing something, or
Yeah.
you might suspect that they're doing something.
Why are they insisting? I wanna know the
Yeah,
thought
exactly. So
process behind it.
they're not telling you why they're insisting. They're
No,
just
you cannot
saying,
tell me.
let's use a condom.
How?
But like
You
they're
cannot
persistent.
tell me. No, you cannot tell me. We're not having sex then. Let me know what's going on. What's happening right now?
Because like
Why why are you
That's an interesting
insisting?
one.
Why are you insisting that like I need to know now? Now, since you're insisting, now I'm suspicious. Now I'm
now it's a
suspicious.
thing.
Are
That's
you
Now
an
I'm
being
gonna talk
interesting.
stupid?
about it.
Hmm? Do you
That's an
have something to
interesting
tell me?
one because there's definitely questions you have to ask when you're newly dating someone to say like, okay, so what is your sex history been like? Establishing sexual boundaries, but like, what are you into? What are your turn-offs? What are your turn-ons? But then also saying that for the next couple of months when we do have sex, we have to use a condom. And I don't think it's like saying that, like it's because I'm trying to insist that you've done something, but I think it's just basically just to protect each other because you're newly dating someone. Like it's not like you trust this person immediately. Like it's
Yeah.
you only been dating this person for 2 months or a week or 2 weeks, whatever. You'd rather just protect yourself and still trying to trust this person and being open and vulnerable with them. So yeah,
Like
I'm
3 years though.
for insisting on using. Okay, not that long, no,
Yeah,
Because
not that
his
long.
question was 3 years.
yeah.
His
My question
question
is
was
3 years.
3 years.
But actually,
Oh, I
Candace,
thought
on
you said if
your
you've been dating for a long time, but
no,
then
I'm saying
indefinitely, because
if you're
I
3 years
thought
deep.
like,
Nah,
No,
3 years deep.
you're 3 years
That's
deep.
why
You're three
I'm
years
just
deep.
like, what are you saying now? What's going
Let's
on
talk
here?
about
that's
it. Let's talk
weird.
about
In 3 years, that's
it.
weird.
That's suspicious.
That's very suspicious.
Because like there's no way there's no way that anyone can bring up a conversation about not just contraceptives in general but about condoms specifically that
Mm.
does not have some
Mm,
sort of insinuation that either I think you're cheating or I
Oh,
definitely know
I'm
that I'm
cheating.
cheating and I'm
Yeah.
trying to protect you, right? Like there isn't, I don't think there is a way to introduce the dynamic of using a condom within a committed monogamous relationship that doesn't have like any weird underpinnings.
mm,
But
mm,
no, that
mm.
also means that if you suspect your partner's doing something, it's better to just ask them. Rather, you'd rather accuse someone because you're gonna accuse them anyway. So
Or
you might rather just like
or
face them, say, "Hey, I
go
think you
on
might be doing
Moja
other things."
Love. Go on Moja Love. Let's
Please
see
don't.
that stuff on TV.
Please
Not
don't.
Catch
that,
you,
not that
okay.
ghetto channel, please.
For my
Oh
sake,
my
please don't
gosh.
go.
My goodness.
I just love chaos. I just love
It's
instilling
so
chaos.
chaotic. I
No, truly,
I
truly.
absolutely don't like that
But
channel.
but you know, Candace, on your point where you're saying that when people are like sort of like newly dating,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm,
norm should be to continue using a condom, right? Because exactly, you're still
mm,
trying to get to know the person. You're still trying to, make sure that okay, I'm actually serious about this. That like I genuinely thought that that tweet by that girlie who said if you're using a condom with someone, you shouldn't be having sex with someone. It was very childish
That's
because
very wild, that
like,
one.
what are you telling people?
What are you saying?
She's
What do you
gate
Like,
mean?
she's
What do you
gatekeeping.
mean?
She's
What do you
gatekeeping
mean?
sex. Like
not
it's
What do you
wild.
have
mean?
It's
gatekeeping
What do you
sex.
wild.
mean?
Fire.
Because we could be I
I
could be
thought that
using a
tweet was so
condom for
childish.
for a different reason than what you're thinking. I
Because
could
then now you're
me
telling
and me, I
people,
could be against birth control, but I still
"Uh,
don't want to get pregnant, so I want to use a condom.
exactly,
Mm,
exactly. So now you're telling
So
people that are like within a committed relationship that if there's a condom involved, you guys shouldn't be having sex.
mm,
What? No, man, that doesn't
I
make
mm,
sense.
mm.
That doesn't make
get out of
sense.
people's sex lives. I actually want to get into
Literally.
soul ties. I really do. I
Yes,
Ooh.
I
really
was
want to
gonna
get into soul
say
ties.
that was our like the final thought, and I both sent you screenshots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, and the one screenshot was from someone on Twitter. It's always Twitter, guys.
Always.
So it says safe sex isn't always about using condoms, but it's mainly
Uh-huh.
about being careful with your sexual choices. Every sexual choice is a spiritual choice. You need to be careful with whom you tie your soul, spirit, and emotions with. And then they further
Mhm.
say condoms can only protect you from blood covenant, but it cannot protect you from soul ties and spiritual bond. I
Mhm.
repeat, not everyone should know your nakedness. I don't know what drugs that tweet is, but
I
yeah.
so okay. because a lot of us will say a lot of different things, but
Yeah.
I am of the belief that human beings are mind, soul, and spirit, right? And body, sorry,
Mm,
and flesh. And so, in that spirit, we interact with the spiritual realm. We're always connected. Sometimes we're not, but sometimes we are. I
mm,
happen to be a very spiritual person. So, I believe in, I wouldn't call them soul ties, but I just would say I believe in things being exchanged when you're moving sexually like that, when you're with someone sexually. There's always a
mm,
connection that's going to happen. um I, however, because the not the stigma, but the common understanding or the common chat is that you can never get rid of them, or like you will always have somebody's soul tie or thing, spiritual thing from 10 years ago. No, I don't believe
mm,
that. The same way how people manifest, they pray, they do whatever when they're having sex, when they're having orgasms, they manifest things into existence. That's how like
mm,
soul ties happen. So how to remove that is similar ways, not in having sex, but through meditation, through prayer, whatever you believe in. That's how you get rid of stuff like that, whether it's to cleanse yourself,
mm,
to pray out of it, to meditate out of it. Yeah.
mm. I
Interesting.
definitely believe that you can carry someone's energy when you've had sex
Yes.
with a person. Like,
Hmm.
it was a couple of years back. There was someone where I did the clove things with, but he was a very like pessimistic lad. Like
Hmm.
very like pessimistic. Even like his conversations about mental health were very like literally he
Oof.
would say and I quote, like, if someone's depressed or if someone's thinking about killing themselves, they must just go to another country and start all over again, like start a new life, like, that type of energy, that type of
Okay,
pessimist
sir.
energy, you
That's
know
thought process
so
also.
I
so
just go
like
start over.
you find yourself carrying someone's like energy and vibe, and I
Yes.
noticed that because I'm a sponge, so I absorb people's energies, and
Mm,
so I'm
mm,
very
mm.
mindful of those things. And in as much as I wouldn't say soul ties, I would say like energies are very key. Like,
Yes.
yeah,
So we are
yeah.
we are in agreement. Yeah. We're in agreement. Yeah.
Because I'm not spiritually married to everyone. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Because what that tweet is
That's
saying
spiritual.
is
Yeah,
that,
that's spiritual
You're
marriage.
married.
Yes,
hey,
because according to the Bible, according to God, when you get
mm,
married, marriage is not about saying I do. Marriage is about having sex. Sex
mm,
is marriage. That's what it
mm,
is, according to the Bible. So when you have sex with everybody, you marry to everybody, according to the
But
Bible.
mm,
Lungi, like the sort of my difficulty, right, with that argument is that first of all, if if that was the case, that all that people needed to do for their marriages to be recognized in the eyes of God were to have sex,
Yeah.
I don't know if the event of a wedding will exist, or the ceremony, or the whole show of like
No, the
wedding will
ceremony
exist,
is for
because
us. It's for human beings, man.
then folks can just go have sex, and like that's not right. But besides that also, don't ask me where in the Bible, but I'm sure somewhere there's speaking to consummating the
The
marriage,
marriage, yes.
right? So
mm.
when people consummate the marriage, they sort of sealing the deal, but you are married already. So even before sort of the sex has happened, that before the sex happens, you're already married, but all the
Yeah,
sex does, then it seals the deal, right?
yeah.
It's like a
Mm.
showcase. Okay, the two of you are married. So I think that's just the sort of discomfort that I have. So, well,
Yeah, no, I
if the
agree
sex
with
is the
you.
marriage, then why are you doing the before part, right? Because also, if you speak to people who are within Christianity, within the church, and I'm sure like other religions as well, they don't consider everyone
Yeah.
walking around who is having sex with each other to be married. Right? So it's like, so all of
Mm.
it exists. The only place where this conversation comes in is when we're speaking about soul ties. No one else,
Yes.
no one recognizes the validity of a soul tie in like general society, even within the church. When people, you can't rock up to your church on Sunday and say, "Oh, me and this person just had sex last week, so we married. Now treat us like a married couple." Right? The
No,
conversation only
they
comes
treat it like
in.
a soul tie.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
don't treat it
The
like a
conversation only
marriage.
comes in the conversation about people who've had sex with each other being tied in the spiritual realm only comes in when we speak about soul ties. And also, yeah, like you guys spoke about energies and all those things, but I think and you don't hear that discourse a lot, but what you do hear a lot is the fact that you're taking over this person's curses, you're taking over their family's curses, and that things are not gonna go right in your life,
Oh.
and that you only taking on this person's like bad energies.
Why
Because
can't I take in their
Mm.
luck? Why
exactly, like
can't I
if
get their
this person
luck?
is wealthy, if this
Their
person is
Their
business?
wealthy, why
money.
can't I be wealthy?
Why can't I take in their public speaking skills?
Exactly. So
Why
it
can't
like
I
it
take in the
feels
testing? I don't know.
like I don't want to like I like as you guys have said, like I'm also someone who believes in the existence of a spiritual realm.
Mm,
But
mm.
I think that the conversation about soul ties has been bastardized in the fact that it's been used as a fear mongering
Yes,
exercise as opposed to like a
100%.
genuine conversation about this thing is deeper than what we think, right? It's
Yes.
always it's always used first of all to slut shame women, and it's also used like as a fear mechanism, right? To say that if you sleep with 10 guys, you're taking on the generational curses of 10
Oh, 10 guys.
families, and you're gonna pass those 10 curses onto your children, right? So that's I think because it's being used so much as a scare tactic, again to get women to behave, right? That I don't think we're having an honest conversation about soul ties.
Yes.
Because I think if we were having a much more, I don't want to say an intellectual conversation about it, but if we were having an honest conversation about it that isn't rooted in getting women to behave, I
Yes.
think we would be having a constructive conversation about it. But like even with the tweet that you just read out, that person isn't tweeting that thing to get an honest engagement about guys, sex is not just the physical act,
Yes.
but they're
They're
using
saying it
this
as a
thing
fear
to
tactic.
fearmonger, right? So
Yes.
that's why I don't like the question because I feel like it's a scare tactic for me. So it's hard for me to engage in it because I can't see past the you taking over someone's curses, you know?
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. Final thoughts on safe sex as we wrap up, like we hope you're wrapping it up in sex. Final
Wrap it up.
thoughts. Final
Final
thoughts.
thoughts. Linda, will start with you.
Okay, I'll go. Final thought. I think people should be much more mindful about what they consider to be safe sex, besides using a condom, besides making sure that someone, obviously consent is involved, and that someone is not being like overtly violent with you. I think that there are a lot more nuances to the kind of things that make people feel unsafe when they're having sex that don't involve physical violence. Because there are a lot, because sex is very complicated and it's very personal, and the fact that you have to do it with someone else who's most likely a stranger as well, it complicates the whole
Yeah.
process. So there are so many things that make sex unsafe that are not
Yes.
physical, and a lot of people just ignore that because it's not physical exactly, right? So I
Yes.
think I think a lot more people should be mindful of the fact that when I am having sex, do I feel safe? And if you don't feel safe, start addressing those things that make you feel unsafe
Yes.
when you're having sex.
Yes. So for me, first of all, safe sex begins with consent. That's point blank, period. Secondly, feel safe within your body before you have sex. Don't just do it out of pressure. Feel safe within your body first. Make sure you are good to have sex. Make sure you're good to go. Make sure, I mean, you know what you want. Because if you know what you want, you'll be safe. If you know what you're doing, you'll feel safe. And make sure to communicate what safe sex you want to people. And also, obviously, always test, make sure you're healthy so
Yeah.
that your sexual partner can also be healthy. That's it
That's
for me.
all. Period. These are the 6 conversations I wish I got when I was a child or when I was watching
Right?
Soul City
Literally.
and
Literally.
Intersections, because that's a whole different way to navigate learning about sex, and just don't have sex with boys or you'll get pregnant, or if you do
Boys
have
bring
sex, make sure
babies.
you're wearing a condom. Like there was no conversation about communication, boundaries, pleasure,
Nothing.
like
Pleasure. None.
yeah.
Yes. Yes,
Nothing.
guys.
Nothing.
Nothing at all. But yeah, I always enjoy listening, talking, engaging
Yes.
about sex.
Love
Um
it. It's
I
my
think
favorite
it's
topic.
always it's always interesting to like learn, relearn, unlearn. And I
Yes.
hope like the listeners also are able to do so in their own spaces. But also to have the confidence to also ask themselves, like, okay, if I've decided that I don't like this type of engagement when it comes to sex, can I then also tell my partner this? Like, let us
Mm.
be the sex influences that you need,
Sex fluency.
honestly. And Lindo, obviously we appreciate you, we love you as
Thank you.
always. You
Thank you so
like
much for
Thank you
having
always
me,
so
coming
much
guys.
for
through,
joining us.
This has been long overdue.
always
Thank you so
coming
much for having me.
through. You're always coming through, listening to our episodes, tweeting us, dragging us. We appreciate you. We
I love a good
really,
drag, I'm not gonna lie.
really appreciate you. No. Listen, last week Lungi deserved to be dragged for her popcorn balls coming. So
It wasn't real.
I,
It just makes sense. Niggas always scratching their balls though.
that was
she
a
won't let
violation.
it go.
That was a violation.
She won't.
It's
She
true.
That was a
won't. She
violation. I'm not
won't
gonna-
let it
I
go.
literally screamed when she said that.
They're always. They don't want to stop.
Say.
Like, wow.
Even in the studio, I couldn't stop. But yeah, to the listeners, please do what lovers do: like, comment, subscribe to the podcast.
Hello.
Be sure to leave us a rating. Follow us on Instagram. Engage on our stories. Every Tuesday we do have Tuesday engagements where we ask you questions or you ask us questions. We recently just did a safe sex quiz just so that you know how well you know about safe sex. So be sure to engage on Instagram there. But yeah, from me, Candice,
And me, Lungi, and
our
me,
extra
Lindo.
special guest,
Me,
we
Lindo.
are out.
bye.
Bye.